All right, let's dive right into this explainer. We're going to build you a foolproof mental map to conquer what is, honestly, a highly stressful, open-book Florida General Contractor Project Management exam. If you've ever stared at a practice question and felt that immediate rising panic of, oh man, which of my 50-pound reference books do I open first? Well, you're definitely not alone. And today, we're going to fix that.
Picture this. The clock is relentlessly ticking down. You see a question about a trenching cave-in. Your heart rate spikes. Do you go to your Principles and Practices book, or do you grab OSHA? Look, your success here depends entirely on a split-second decision, knowing exactly which reference book to open. Guessing? That just wastes precious time you simply do not have.
So, here's our game plan. 1. The exam day dilemma. 2. The trigger word strategy. 3. Scenario split, earthwork. 4. Scenario split, formwork. And finally, 5. High-yield P&P concepts.
Number 1. The exam day dilemma.
When you're sitting in that exam room completely overwhelmed by this mountain of materials, it's not just about knowing construction, right? It's about knowing exactly where the test writers hid the answer. So, we're going to teach you the fork in the road strategy. It's all about spotting a trigger word in the question that literally forces a left turn to the Principles and Practices book or a right turn to the OSHA manual. See, the exam intentionally creates these tricky scenarios that feel like they could be in either book, but trust me, there is always a keyword that gives away the correct path.
Number 2. The trigger word strategy.
Okay, here's your golden rule. The question asks how to build something, what material to use, or how to select your equipment, you go straight to P&P. But if it asks about temporary worker protection, fall hazards, or scaffolds, boom, you go straight to OSHA. Think of it this way, it's actually pretty simple. P&P is the method itself, while OSHA is about the safety of the human actually performing that method.
Number 3. Scenario split, earthwork. Now, earthwork is absolutely prime real estate for this fork-in-the-road trick. Test writers are going to throw a whole lot of dirt at you, combining soil properties, foundations, and trenching all into one messy scenario. You have to cut through the noise and decide what they actually want to know.
Listen up, because this is crucial. If a trench question asks about dewatering pumps, or, say, whether to use a scraper versus a loader based on haul distance, you open Chapter 4 in P&P. But if it asks about shielding an employee from a cave-in, sloping rules, or competent person inspections, you flip right to OSHA Subpart P. Same dirt, completely different books. Let's look at another high-yield P&P concept, which is how earth volume physically changes states as it's moved around. It's a sequence, from bank to loose to compacted. Bank is just the undisturbed earth. When you excavate it, it swells up into loose volume. And once it's placed and rolled, it shrinks down into compacted volume. These definitions, they are pure P&P Chapter 4. And hey, here is your free point on the exam math. To figure this out, calculate your excavation volume by multiplying the plan area by the depth, and then this is the absolutely critical step. Divide your cubic feet by 27 to get cubic yards. Whatever you do not forget that conversion factor of 27.
Number 4. Scenario split, formwork.
Now think about the massive pressure loads that wet concrete puts on formwork. Remember, fresh concrete behaves exactly like a fluid, and that pressure rises the faster you pour it.
So do not fall for this classic trap. Designing the strongbacks and ties to resist that lateral fluid pressure, that's a P&P Chapter 6 method. It's all about the physical structure. But protecting the actual workers who are erecting those forms or navigating the temporary shoring, that is absolutely an OSHA Subpart Q issue.
Number 5. High-yield P&P concepts. All right, let's hit some rapid-fire core differences that are tested constantly. First up, do not confuse bonding with filling. Mortar is what glues your masonry blocks together. Grout, on the other hand, fills the empty spaces around the rebar to make it solid. Next up, the slump test. A higher slump just means you have a wetter mix. So remember, it evaluates the workability and consistency directly in the field. It basically tells you how easily the concrete is going to flow into your forms. It absolutely 100% does not tell you its compressive strength. Contrast that with the concrete cylinder test. This is specifically how you verify the actual ultimate compressive strength of the concrete after it fully cures. So slump is for wet workability, cylinders are for dry strength. Keep them separated. Speaking of keeping things separated, keep pre-stressed and post-tension concrete methods cleanly separated in your mind, based entirely on when the tensioning occurs. The prefix really tells the whole story here. Pre means the strands are tensioned before the concrete hardens, and post means the tendons are stressed after.
And always remember the magic number 5. 5 is the threshold depth in feet where OSHA strictly requires a protective system for a trench, unless, of course, you're digging in solid rock.
Okay, take a mental snapshot of this ultimate checklist for exam day's survival. Contractual duties? Go to your AIA documents. The permanent building itself? Florida Building Code. Someone could get hurt today? OSHA. How to actually build the thing? P&P. So with this structured approach, you are totally ready to spot those triggers, open the right book, and confidently secure that passing grade. The big question is, will you let the clock beat you, or will you use these trigger words to take control of the exam? The choice is yours. Keep practicing spotting those forks in the road, and you'll do